Jerami Grant is getting ready to attempt his 27th and 28th free throws of the night. If you're a fan of the NBA, you may think this is a perfect representation of the league becoming too soft. I, at times, have also wanted to kill myself watching NBA players shoot free throw after free throw, especially when it was this guy. But as the years have gone by, the league has created a more fast-paced game for fans. Team possessions have increased and free throws have decreased, which begs the question, is the NBA calling too many fouls? And if not, what are fans actually frustrated about? When James Naismith first invented basketball, he set the groundwork for what constituted a foul. Today this has largely remained the same, but the way fouls are called have changed. After reading through the rules that have changed the game, there was a common theme. Within the guidelines of the rules, players figure out a way to find an advantage and continue exploiting it until the league makes a change. For example, Dwayne Wade became known for his pump fake where he would draw easy shooting fouls. As players started to catch on, they took it to another level by flinging themselves at other defenders until the NBA realized this was a non-basketball move and stopped calling those fouls altogether in 2021. During the 1984 finals, Kurt Rambis went up for a layup until Mikhail clotheslined him in midair, which started a brawl. There was no flagrant or technical foul at the time, and other teams, especially the Miami Heat, took advantage of this, which led to the infamous brawls with the Knicks in the 90s until David Stern introduced the flagrant foul. And as the league implements these rules, the players need to adjust as well. After 2003, there was a sizable increase in fouls due to the ban of hand checking. Scottie Pippen had spoken about how he couldn't keep up with defenders when hand checking was banned, and other older players have talked about how it makes scoring so much easier. But as players started relearning how to play defense, there generally has been a slight dip in fouls over the years. So what are fans really upset about? I believe that it's the type of fouls that players are generating that are frustrating so many fans today. In 2017, Kawhi Leonard got injured against the Golden State Warriors when Zaza Pachulia got in his landing space. In the offseason, this became a flagrant foul to protect jump shooters. But some players saw this as an opportunity to draw fouls, specifically by kicking your legs or even twerking your booty at the defender so it looked like a foul. Once this became a problem, the league started calling this an offensive foul for getting into the defender's space. In 2019, Trae Young would use the pick and roll to put defenders on his back and then jump back into them before taking a shot. Other players followed suit, and it became a shit show until 2021 when the NBA, in their efforts to crack down on the use of non-basketball moves, decided that this was no longer going to be called. Just this past year, Chris Paul, a Kim K victim, got pegged for using the rip-through move by the internet. When asked about it, he talked about how defenders would armbar him, which would give him the opportunity to use the move. So yes, these are all cheap tactics in one way or another to create an advantage. And while it is frustrating, here is the reality. Players are just getting smarter, and as they study the rulebook and how other teams are defending them, they will figure out how to draw fouls. And as a defense, you don't really have any choice but to simply adjust. Because the game has become a better product by the NBA and fan standards, there is no reason for them to change the game on a drastic level. And if you decide not to adjust, well, then it gets pretty simple. When a team commits more fouls over the course of a game, you're going to give up more points per possession. You see, most fouls are committed because there was a mishap somewhere in the defense. One main example in today's NBA is the art of matchup hunting. Teams are constantly trying to find mismatches, so slow big men have to chase around quick guards, or a strong forward can post up a smaller guard. And as a defense, your responsibility is to close that advantage as fast as possible. This requires knowing the action, understanding your role in the defensive coverage, and being disciplined in your technique. A lapse in one of the three will usually create an offensive advantage that leads to a high percentage shot or a foul. In other words, playing consistent, solid team defense is really damn hard, and not many teams are good at it. It's also exactly why Jerami Grant was able to shoot 28 free throws against the New York Knicks. For some context, over the past year and a half, the most mid thing in New York City have been the New York Knicks. They currently commit the 4th most fouls in the league, and after watching the film, there were 2 major reasons why. The first reason is that the Knicks tend to play more aggressively on the perimeter. At the beginning of the game, the Blazers announcer made a really interesting observation.
Kev, that last shot attempt, I think those types of opportunities might be there because sometimes the Knicks can get aggressive defensively, play you on the high side, and open up those passes over the top. I don't think that'll be the last one of those. We'll see if the Blazers are patient.
The high side is referring to the side of the player closer to half court. In other words, they don't want the offensive player to go middle. Barrett is playing Grant's high side so that he can't take the dribble handoff from Nurkic. The way to attack this is by cutting towards the rim, which then puts a lot of pressure on the help defenders. Since Nurkic is the passer, this draws out the big man and gives Grant space to drive and finish or draw fouls against smaller help defenders. Interestingly enough, you can see Nurkic pointing Grant to go backdoor, and he waits for Grant to use him as a natural pick to get a step on Barrett, which causes a foul on quickly. So this is something that the Blazers came into the game prepped for. As if Barrett's offensive play was not enough to trigger Knicks fans, Tibbs yells at RJ for not doing his job as a help man.
Grant has a step on top and got jammed.
So Tibbs wanted RJ to be ready for Grant to cut to the basket, but he fell asleep once the ball was inbounded, and Tibbs yelled his name again to make sure his ass got over to Grant in time, but it was too late by then. Which leads to the second reason, lack of focus. This ranged from not making any adjustments to just simply being careless. One place they did not make adjustments was the rip-through move. As Chris Paul pointed it out, you should expect the rip-through move if you are bodying up the defender or putting your arm in the attacker's space. Here quickly is in Simon's body, which gives him the opportunity to perform the hated rip-through move. A few minutes later, Grimes has his hand out, which makes it easy for Simons to rip through again. Besides just ripping through, the Knicks struggle to get their hands up early, which is a fundamental concept of defense today. I know that some of you may think these are soft touch fouls, and you're not necessarily wrong. But this is something that the NBA has stressed for years. A lot of cheap fouls that have been called throughout the years have been because defenders have a hard time trusting their lateral quickness and use their hands to compensate for that. But the difference between good teams and bad teams is the sense of accountability. In the third quarter, RJ is on a fast break and Winslow gets called for a pretty soft foul. Now Nurkic does start complaining, but notice Dame and Grant on the bench. They know that Winslow needs to get his hands up earlier to contest the shot. Compared to here, where Simons is driving and Grimes grabs Simons' waist instead of trusting his defense. The Knicks are looking like, where's the foul, like they have been all game, but Thibodeau after the game wasn't really interested in talking about the refs.
But, we have to adjust to how the game's being called. So sometimes it's going to be tight, sometimes not as tight. But we can't keep repeating the same. If they're calling it that way, then we have to adjust.
And so, if you have made it this far, there are 3 important takeaways. First, the league changes with the players. The players within the guidelines of what they have figure out ways to create advantages to the point where the league realizes it's gone out of hand and makes a rule change. Second, players have gotten a lot smarter over the years. When you have more information about other teams' scouting reports and film on your anticipated matchup, along with what refs call, you can set yourself up for success. The league is damn hard to have sustained success in the first place, and any advantage to get a bigger paycheck down the road will always be used. And finally, most fouls called today are still the result of bad defense. The idea of good defense today is your ability to slide with the offensive player and use your hands to disrupt their rhythm, whether it's the dribble or the shot. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this format, please feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.